welcome to the Shelly Studio. It's September 1st, and that means it's time for my monthly art prompt challenge. And I've created my list, and in my post section on my channel, there will be an image of the prompts in case you want to grab that and try it yourself. And tag me at Instagram or Facebook or somewhere. If you do it, I'd love to see what you end up creating with the prompts. So for September, the colors were rose, dandelion, and sea green. And as I've always said, use what you have. So I'm using what I have. It's not exactly the same exact color, but it's close enough. I think my yellow is a little bit brighter than the dandelion. The dandelion has like a greenish tint to it, I think. But I didn't want to mix paints and then have too much or too little, so I just went with the yellow. I ended up accidentally getting some green in it, so it eventually looks a little more dandelion. And I am just, one of the prompts is paint or spray with two different colors. So I'm putting yellow and green. The green is supposed to be sea green, but of course, I don't even remember what the name of this green was, but I think it was pretty close color-wise. And I don't know if I've ever said it, but feel free to add white and black, or whatever you want to, because this is your challenge. Like, this is my challenge. I'm using whatever I want to. And if you just really can't stand the colors, pick different colors. Okay, so the first prompt I used was spray and paint with two different colors. The next one, I think, was add a thin coat of gesso. And this, I think, is where I end up getting a little bit of green mixed in with the yellow, because that green on my little lid was not quite dry. So I get a few green streaks in there. That's okay. I decided to do the gesso at this point because I felt like that was all way too bright. And it still ends up being quite a bright picture overall. I mean, you'd almost think it was spring with those spring colors, but it just depends on what you draw, right? What you draw out of the hat. Spin the wheel. It's the color wheel, so we spin the wheel. And one of the other prompts was spray through a stencil. So I have some this is the Dina Wakley, the gloss spray stuff, which the spray nozzles haven't worked for years, and that white probably needs to be thrown away. It had a lot of thick stuff in it. But I sprayed through the stencil, and that stencil was PM Art Studio Aqueous Effervescence Broken. They have two different ones, one that has all holes and one that didn't quite work right, and it has, like, the circles are still there. So it's called Broken. So anyways, I used that. I did white because it's the only thing I had that fit the guidelines. I didn't have yellow or green or pink to spray through it, so I used the white. And the next prompt was draw something. So I am drawing a girl. The words for inspiration were photography, moment, and drain. And I Googled those words. I ended up taking out photography because it was just not working to search for a quote. I found a quote that had the word drain in it, but it also had the word fountain in it. So I decided my girl was going to hold something and have, like, a fountain of water or fountain of something shooting out. So that's why I drew the girl like that. The next prompt was add doodles, scribbles, or Zentangles. So I'm just doing these circly doodles on here. I end up covering up most of them because it was just, I couldn't like it. But I go through and I draw all these different circles on her dress. And I do like the little bit of it that I leave in the end. But I do a lot of stuff to it before that happens. So how is everyone today? I hope you're doing well. Here in the States, it's Labor Day on the 1st, which means we get the day off. Yay! I'm doing the voiceover the night before, but I don't have to wake up early in the morning to go to work, so I'm okay. I don't really have any plans, but hey, just a day off is great. Do any of you have plans for today, for Labor Day? Do you do anything special? Sometimes we've had barbecues or taken a 3-day weekend somewhere, but this year, just kind of staying close to home. Oh, I'm still adding doodles. None of this part of the doodles stay. It was just, yeah. Sometimes you have to just do the process, get your way through it, and then you figure out where you want it to be. I think. So there. I think. Oh, and I thickened up some lines. Because I wanted it to stand out a little bit. And I'm just using a fine point Posca paint pen to draw these lines. Now, one of the prompts was to scribble with a colored pencil. Does this count as scribbling with a colored pencil? I decided to make her hair brown. The gloss sprays that I put on there are resisting in her hair. They're just not covering up. But I also wanted to shade it to have, to separate her from the background. So I used that. Does that count as scribbling? I'm counting it as scribbling. Now the next one was add ink and spray with water. I didn't have any ink in the right color, so I am taking some pink. This is a Dina Wakley paint that I've had forever, and I'm watering it down so it will be like ink. And I'm sorry I didn't edit out the pause. I think I was just back there trying to get more paint out of the tube. All right, so this is going to be what I use to resemble the fountain from my quote. And now I'm spraying it with water because it said spray with water. It's already very wet. And I want it to drip down like a fountain. It's not exactly going the way I want. So I'm just taking the back of a paintbrush that has like a point on it, which makes it really nice for scratching into things. That looks a little more fountain-like. I want it to look like it's spraying, splashing. Took out a little bit more solid, less runny paint. I don't want it to like be all faint on top there. I want it to be dark. And then I go around and, I really don't have the right brush for splattering. So I'm trying to splatter, and then I just go in and add dots because I wanted them kind of substantial. I want you to be able to see them. Plus, I'm trying to fix the fountain of pink water. Maybe it's pink blossoms because this thing looks so spring-like. It's spring blossoms. Again, trying to cover up her hair with that brown pencil, colored pencil. So I wasn't liking my doodling, so I thought maybe adding white into the circles would help it. So that's what I'm doing. Adding this is my white creative marker by Crayola paint pen. It's not 100% opaque over paint on the first try, but if you do it a couple of times, it looks pretty white, I think. This dress reminds me I had 2 weddings in August. My niece got married, and then my cousin's daughter got married. And their weddings were really pretty. One of them was actually kind of pink and green. So maybe the dress and everything was kind of inspired by that. I don't know. She had a really lacy dress. She looked really pretty. That was my niece. My cousin's daughter, she was really pretty. She had a fancy old wedding. Really formal. I mean, the invitation came with a card that had the colors you could wear and the dress code. I've never had an invitation with that before. But she is kind of a fancy girl. She's a very fancy girl, so she does fancy things. And they had theirs at a garden at an art museum, which was cool. I'd been to the art museum before. I've had stuff in the art museum before, but I'd never been in their sculpture garden. It was really pretty. It didn't have a lot of stuff in there, but sculpture-wise, but I think they use it mostly for events, so it had a lot of space. But yeah, it was very pretty. The niece had hers at a really interesting sort of country. Well, it was a tent, but the area it was at was like a garden shop that also had animals. I don't know. It was really interesting. The shop was not open, and I want to go back and shop there. So yeah, this is me not liking the dress. and covering it up with white, thinking I was going to go with white. And the black apparently was not that dry in all places. So it smeared a bit, got it a little bit gray. And sometimes when I'm creating and filming while I'm creating, I'm impatient and I want things to be done. So I don't wait long enough for things to dry. Then I decide I could add a little bit of white to my green to make the dress like a light green. But then I'm like, that just wasn't it. So yeah, this is what I do. I take out my black paint and I cover that whole thing up. Well, almost the whole thing. I leave a little bit of doodling on the end. So my doodling shows up. See, I think I've done just about all the prompts. There was draw something, spray through a stencil, paint with 2 different colors, add ink and spray with water, add a thin coat of gesso, add doodles or Zentangles, and scribble with colored pencil. There's 2 more prompts left. One is to add stickers. And I was thinking that I would find a butterfly sticker and have it kind of flying above the fountain. That was my original idea. But I also wanted it to be in the right color family. And, oh yeah, I'm adding shading around. I decided with that black, there needed to be more darkness around. I guess she could be kind of witch-like, you know? I don't know. So I go searching through my stickers and my stuff. I've got lots of stickers, but they're kind of random, weird stickers. I don't find the ones I want, but I happen to have these flower stickers that are mostly silver and pink. There's a little bit of purplish tint, but a lot of pink. So I felt like it went. I mean, I know rose is my color, but since my fountain is pink, and then it makes you think that the fountain is like flower petals coming down, and the girl's dress is created from these flowers or something. I don't know. Or she's got a flower train on her dress. But I pulled off almost every single one of these flowers that had pink in them. I stayed away from the ones that had blue and like yellow. But yeah, I really like how the flowers ended up. I think it was a positive thing. You'll have to tell me what you think. And what do you think of me covering up all those doodle circles after doing them all? Decided to have some cut in half to look like they were just kind of. I didn't like that one as well. I don't know that it ends up on the page. But yeah, I think cutting them in half makes them look like they're flowing off the page. And just has a better flow, I think. All right, and the last prompt is to add the quote, but it's also add quote or phrase like a ransom note. So I went through a few magazines and cut out the letters for the quote. And I am just glue sticking them on. And I'm putting the glue stick over the paint and then putting the paper down. So I did not want it to be coated with glue stick. And it works just fine. I just left it open until it was completely dry. and it doesn't stick to the other side. I've had the book closed for a while now, and it works just great to just do it like this. And I'm using Yoo-Hoo glue stick. So the quote is, "Be a fountain, not a drain." I liked it. And it went with the words. Well, one of the words was drain, so it worked. I do those random words and I'm like, what am I going to come up with that matches those words, honestly? And I have to tell you, I have done the words for October, and it's fate, ear, and spider. I have not yet even thought about what I'm going to do for October. But spider works with Halloween, so that might be okay. I'm not sure my colors are going to be fall even, but we'll see. Anyways, so there it is, all completed. I like it. I like how it ended up. Tell me what you think. Did you like it? Are you going to try it? And if you try it, let me know. I'd love to see what you do. And thank you, 22 Club. I think this went about 22 minutes. Thank you for sticking with me, and I hope you all have an awesome day.